Hello, how you guys doing? James here. Well, I wanted to show you something different. It's coming from Redirect with the latest on what's going on with the
Neurologists have
African
recently
countries.
discovered that ear
Then
hearing
I'm gonna tell
problems
you
were linked to mental
about the
impairment
money
in a way
system
that
that's
will shock
coming up.
you.
You probably been
What
hearing
you
a lot
thought
about
you knew
this,
about this issue
but
within the years may be wrong.
what
Tap Learn
countries?
More below to skip
What's
straight
going
to
to
see
happen
this
with our
simple
dollar?
routine in action.
This is very important.
It's not just the result of
first,
exposure to loud
let's look
sounds
at
or ear
Africa.
trauma. Actually,
What's going to happen over there and what's happening now, what they're doing with the West. This is just the beginning. You've probably been seeing a lot of this, but it goes in more depth for Russia and all these other countries.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is paying attention. I hope you are ready for this broadcast. We have a rather interesting topic we are going to be covering. A very important topic. I like to pay attention to what's going on all over this planet. It's not a good idea to only be involved in what's happening in your neck of the woods. Okay? There are some very, very serious things happening, and if you're not paying attention, you just might miss it, right? Unfortunately, there is no end to the distractions that are out here. You know what I mean? No end to it. That being said, if you pay attention to these things, be sure to circle back to what is really happening. Okay? We can't close our eyes to things that are happening around us, but be very sure that you're circling back to reality, because there are some very serious things taking place. Now, I want to get into this topic, you all, because a lot of people don't pay attention to what's going on in Africa. For so long, they've been trained to think that Africa doesn't matter. This is something that has been done through the media, right? American media. Oh, they are just little children who we don't have to pay attention to. So many snide remarks have been made about so-called black people, but something else is happening. They are experiencing a major revolution right now. They are saying no more. Have y'all noticed that? Africa is saying no more. You will no longer bully us. You will not mistreat us. And you will not continue to steal our resources. This is what's going on over in Africa. I hope you are paying attention. I hope you're paying attention. Now, this is exciting news. Of course, there will always be scoffers who will pretend like what's happening in Africa is just nothing. But America and the West are shaking in their boots. I'm not the only one saying this either. I've heard so many others talking about this. This is why I'm coming to you, because it kind of excites me a bit when I hear so-called white people or Europeans saying these same things, right? It excites me because that means they know what's going on, right? They know what's going on. So Africa just shocked the world with some of these bold moves that they've made. America and the West are finished. Finished. It is what it is. That time has come. And we are seeing this unfolding live in a living color. So I'm going to be showing something to you. I actually can't show you the video, but I'm going to go over some of the things that are being spoken of in the video. And like I said, it's exciting to me. Okay? Mariah in the chat says all of us must turn to the Most High and cry out with a loud voice. Okay? That's what he's waiting on us to do. I agree with that. So Africa is making some bold moves. Now, this is a map that was recently released, y'all. All of that you see in red All of these countries in Africa that are in red, they have signed military agreements with Russia. Y'all hear that? And it's been stated that some of those that are still in white are going to be signing as well. Now, the reason why they're signing military agreements with Russia is because Russia has observed the fact that America and the West have used bully tactics for a long time concerning Africa. They've used bully tactics. Okay. Carlay in the chat says she don't want to cry, but oh my gosh, this is exciting. Praise the Most High. Absolutely, absolutely. So, Russia has kind of looked at the fact that Africa's been bullied by the West, and the West has really had their way in Africa, but many are rising up. Niger rose up against the French, and they're raising up against all of these European nations and saying, we're tired of you stealing from us, taking our resources, our uranium, right? We're tired of it. Enough is enough. And they have literally thrown the West out. They've thrown them out. They said, you're out of here. No more. You can't do business here anymore. And they have been left with no other choice but to get out. No other choice but to get out. Now, I'm going to show you the video that I want you to see in just a moment, but they were saying that the West has already spent billions of dollars running a pipeline to get resources from Africa. They've piped it all the way through so that they can get it to European nations. So basically, let me tell you what that looks like. This kind of stuff can burn you up when you really think about it, okay? Not in a natural sense, but it can really tick you off a bit. So they want to run pipelines from the natural resources of Africa, in the continent of Africa, run it straight through Africa and right on up into Europe. You say to yourself, you got a lot of nerve. You're gonna take our stuff, pipe it through our land into yours to benefit your people, while at the same time treating the people that you're stealing it from like trash. Well, as some of you have said in the chat, they cut it off. Africa made a decision. They cut it off. They said, you ain't getting nothing. I don't care how many billions of dollars you've spent on your pipeline. It is now obsolete. You're not taking our resources anymore. And there is absolutely nothing they can do about it. Now I know that there are those who are prideful, who believes that they can just continue to do this and that the Most High is not going to intervene. Well, it seems like he's intervening now, because this type of thing has been going on for a long time. And the problem is the West thinks that they can continue this and that no one can stop them. But it seems as though the Most High is putting that great boldness in them to say, look, we're tired of it. We're finished. We don't stand alone now. Now, what's amazing is this. I want you to understand something. The Most High, he don't need nobody, right? But he can use anybody. Let me say that again. The Most High doesn't need anybody, but he can use anybody. Right? So, what if it is the Most High who has placed it in the minds and the hearts of Russian leadership to offer this kind of assistance to the continent of Africa? So basically, Africa is no longer standing alone without allies now, right? The Most High can rise up whoever he wants. Am I right? He can rise up or raise up whoever he wants. And so we see something happening very, very quickly before our eyes. And this can be quite frightening, because all of this stuff is going to have a ripple effect through the world, right? Earlier today, we were talking about what's going on over in China. It's like, oh my goodness, what's happening in China is so frightening and disturbing. I don't know what else to call it. I don't know what else to call it. It's disturbing what's happening in China. You look at other regions of the world, other things are happening as well. The Most High is stirring this thing up. He is stirring this thing up. Now, the West is very nervous. Very, very nervous. That's right, Carlene in the chat was talking about the people on TikTok who are talking about inflation and how it's getting a lot of people. Yeah, I've been shared. Some people have shared some videos with me concerning people on TikTok talking about how rough their lives are becoming. Things are getting out of hand. To the person who asked what's going on in China, we just did a broadcast earlier on the Watchmen Reports. Oh my goodness. Go check it out over there. It's the recent release that we just did, and you will see some of the footage of what's happening there. Whew. There's some very disturbing images you'll see. Now, we cut out the sound, we talked over it, so you can actually see the actual video.
I'm going to stop it here, but this was going over in Russia. I mean, this is what Putin did.
No matter what type of severe asthma you have, Tespire can help you have fewer asthma attacks and breathe better. Tespire is an add-on.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vladimir Putin was not at the BRICS summit, but he did give a speech, and that's what I'm going to go over in this video. So he said that, they're gaining momentum. Vladimir Putin says U.S. de-dollarization is irreversible. In remote BRICS summit address, here's what it could mean for the future of the greenback. So the US dollar has reigned supreme over the global economy for close to a century, but efforts to dethrone it are gaining momentum, says the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Putin called the dollar drop in dominance objective and irreversible in an address at the 15th BRICS summit in Johannesburg via video link on Tuesday. He also said 5 BRICS members, Russia, China, India, Brazil, and South Africa, which are home to more than 40% of the world's population, are growing into global economic superpowers that could rival and maybe even overtake the G7. According to the World Bank, BRICS members share a global GDP which grew from 18% in 2010 to 26% in 2021. The increases all years during the period, China leading the way with over 70% of BRICS GDP in 2021. But it will be enough to displace the greenback. Here's more on how these emerging economies are seeking to reduce the reliance on the dollar and how American officials are feeling about it. Now, they're trying to play nonchalant in this country like, this is not going to affect us that much. They're lying. They're lying, y'all. And I guess they feel like they have to lie to the public to keep people from panicking. Just keep your eye on this because they're going to be making some critical moves in the next few months. So Putin claims that over the past decade, mutual investments and transactions between BRICS countries have increased sixfold, thanks partly to BRICS members' mutual respect for each other's interests. The United Nations BRICS Investment Report 2023 states that BRICS economies represent 18% of global exports, with their share continuing to increase, while the growth rate of intra-BRICS exports have exceeded the global average. Now, according to what I read in a previous article, it says that BRICS nations actually have 40% of the global GDP. That's pretty significant. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So when addressing bloc leaders and South Africa, Putin asked for continued collaboration with BRICS members. During the summit, we shall discuss in detail the entire range of issues related to the transition to national currencies in all areas of economic cooperation between our 5 nations. The Russian president took the opportunity to slam what he believes are illegitimate sanctions laid down by the United States and other Western economic powers in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the unlawful freezing of sovereign state assets, which he said seriously weighs on the international economic situation. In an effort to reduce transaction costs, limit their exposure to global vitality and geopolitical risk, and boost the local economies, members of BRICS and their allies have begun settling trades in their local currency instead of US dollars. And you know what? I think they've been doing that for quite some time. I don't think this thing with India buying 1 million barrels of oil with rupees instead of dollars, I don't think this is new. I think they've been doing a lot of these transactions behind the scenes. Just last week,
hello everyone and welcome. Joining us is Emily Stark, Network Security Lead.
Just last week, India announced its leading petroleum refiner, Indian Oil Corp, used local rupees to buy 1 million barrels of oil they bought this oil from a national oil company, and it's part of a bilateral trading agreement between 2 countries. Despite more of these no-dollar transactions taking place with the assistance of the BRICS New Development Bank, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen still believes that no currency currently exists that could displace the greenback. So the dollar dominance in global trade and capital flows date back to at least 80 years. Not just because the U.S. is the world's biggest economy, but also because oil and other essential commodities are priced in the greenback. We should expect over time a gradual increase shares of other assets in reserve holdings of countries, a natural desire to diversify, said Yellen, but the dollar is far and away the dominant reserve asset. Yeah, well, that's not what BRICS is. BRICS say they going to take you out of that spot. That's what they're saying. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, so that is what he said. You know, I knew there had to be a transcript, and there are transcripts online that go into other things that Putin said. So it's interesting just to see where this whole thing is going and how these people are going to proceed going into the future. And you can best believe they planned all of this out in that meeting. They know exactly what direction they're going to go in and how they're going to start using the dollar less and less, which I believe many of these nations have already started doing that. Because, whenever you hear about they intend on not using the dollar, they probably been start doing that probably even a year or two ago. They're not just saying it. I think they're saying it now, and they're trying to imply in the media, well, this is what they're going to do, but they haven't done this yet. I think they have. And I think they're not going to tell America every move they make. They're not going to do that. But y'all, please tell me what you think about this video and what Putin said. He said that, when they start their quest to not use the US dollar, what they're going to do is going to be irreversible. Do you believe what he said?
Oh yeah, I believe it. I believe it. But guess what? Here's what they did. What BRICS did to France.
Now, I saw a very controversial tweet on the BRICS official platform on Twitter, or as it's popularly known as X right now since Elon Musk took over. And they were saying that France President Emmanuel Macron was denied entry, or his application to attend BRICS was denied. How true is this? And if it's true, what message is BRICS sending to France, the West, and the rest of the world? Hello guys, how are you doing? Welcome to another episode of our Conversations. My name is Sindero Ganga. I'm a business journalist by profession and a digital content creator. I love coming on here, having talks with you about Africa, Black people, our empowerment, and how we can rise up and take our rightful place at the global stage. So BRICS has been catching pace, and the fire is burning on social media. And through my scrolling, I found a tweet on the BRICS platform that said that they'd denied the application by France President Emmanuel Macron to attend. And this was just, it caused a frenzy on Twitter, because everybody was like, oh wow, we thought the West was not interested in BRICS. We thought the West said BRICS was a failure before it even started. We thought they said BRICS are not serious, it's not going to go anyway, they're not a real threat, they do not possess the power to even compete, And here you are sending an application to attend, but also, if there's any truth to what BRICS is saying, I don't understand the logic of Emmanuel Macron, because obviously nobody wants you at that table. That's the plain truth, particularly with what's happening in the Sahel region right now, and everybody revolting against France. In solidarity with the African brothers, I don't think Africans want you on the continent willingly. Nobody is just like, oh yeah, welcome. No, they will have a conversation with you when there's a need to have a conversation with you, not necessarily just because they've missed you. So I don't know what the thought process or the rationale for applying or requesting to be invited was. And also, all these other guys, their politics, their belief, their growth agenda, their relation with Africa is very different from the way you relate with Africa. Every other person treats Africa here as a partner and an equal, and they're not trying to misuse their natural resources. Everybody is now committed to a new order of doing things, to forging and fostering new relationships, yet you're still stuck on La France Afrique. So I don't even understand if France knows that technically there's no place for them in BRICS with the current way that they do business with the rest of the continent. There's no place for them. The other thing would also be, I don't understand why France almost feels the need to align with BRICS, because it commands just the right amount of power in Western alliances, and so I don't know why they want to have
power on both sides. You have to pick one. You have to pick one. Either you're left leaning or you're right leaning. I think in this new world order, there are no liberals. There's no middle ground. It's either you are leaning towards the old way of doing business or you're shifting towards the new way of doing business. And we know that France President Emmanuel Macron has said 1,000,001 times, countless times, that they will change La France Afrique. They will look at it. They will do away with it. But until today, those colonial agreements are still in place. So BRICS, I think, was sending a very clear message in saying, not until you've reformed your way of doing business and how you perceive Africans and least developed countries, there's no place for you here, because this is the new world order. And also, I haven't seen a tweet from the French agencies, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or the presidency, denying that it's not true, or that Emmanuel Macron was not denied entry. So it's almost like BRICS said the truth, because anytime you say something that France does not agree with, they immediately put a statement out. You remember when Algeria said that France had requested to fly over the airspace during a military operation in Niger, and France came out very quickly to refute those claims. We haven't seen France refute claims that they were denied, their president at least was denied attendance and entry to BRICS. If BRICS did, good for them, because I think it's very important from the very get-go to set a tone on how you're going to relate with any other person that wants to join the group. So it's either ship up or ship out. That's all I had for you. My name is Adira Ganga. I'm a business journalist by profession.
Well, it looks like this thing's coming to pass, and he really messed up, man. That French president, he's arrogant. He's just an arrogant, sneaky, conniving person. He really thinks people are dumb, that they're gonna be intimidated because of him, but they're not intimidated, man. The days of doing people like that is over. People get fed up, man, and I think they find out that they were not getting what they were bargained for the land and the resources, and that took a lot of nerve to want to run a pipeline up through there and not compensate those countries. And so, hey, it is what it is. But hey, they brought that on themselves. They really did. And only thing they can do is blame themselves. So, yeah, good luck with that. Trying to think. Then you gonna have the nerve to try to come on in. As if they invite you to the party. Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, the time to change it, and I'm so happy for some of the different countries in Africa to stand up, and the people is right behind them to fight this stuff off, and stop letting people come over there and manipulate and use them and try to pat them on the head. And so, but yeah, so they got what they deserve. I mean, France got what they, you don't belong there. And then I think he got a nerve to try to rise up and get the other African countries into their conflict. And the only one that kind of gave them airspace, they forgot to tell you, was Morocco. But Algeria said, no, you ain't putting us in the middle of your mess. Oh man. So yeah, it was something else, but I'm happy for them, man. I don't speak the language, but I'm happy for them because any people is being oppressed and being taken advantage of, I stand with them, man. Anybody being oppressed, especially the way the West do things, it's terrible. And they just, it's the same mindset. They think that they can keep doing that forever and ever. And there's serious consequences with this. And they're already at war. Russia's already at war with Ukraine. And if they decide to take the war into Africa, man, they're gonna get behind Niger and fight the French. That's gonna be a wrap. And then if France, and if we back up France, it's not gonna look good. And it is what it is. But speaking of the West, I forgot to tell you about this one. Canada.
You don't get a fire in your belly with a boring breakfast. You gotta light that sucker up with the good stuff.
Over the years, Canada has been known as a land of opportunity, a country that provides a high standard of living in a place where you can build a good life for yourself and your family. But what if I told you that the country is in trouble? Well, to be exact, the economy of Canada is facing some serious challenges that threaten the very foundation of the country's financial stability. Can you believe it? A country with the world's 9th largest economy as of 2020, abundant natural resources, and a highly skilled workforce is now struggling to keep its head above water. Why is it so? What exactly is happening to Canada's economy and why is it in trouble? Join me in this video to find out. So as I just told you, Canada's economy is going through a terrible phase. It is not just me saying this, but finance experts, policymakers, and everyday Canadians who are feeling the effects of the downturn. Let's discuss the factors contributing to this economic decline and see what it means for Canadians. One of the biggest challenges facing Canada's economy is the concentration of population in a few major urban centers. Take Toronto and Vancouver, for example. They have seen a massive influx of people over the past few decades, driving up housing prices and making it tough for many Canadians to find affordable homes. In fact, the average house price in Canada is now more than $700,000, making it one of the most expensive places to buy a home in the world. This has created a growing wealth gap between those who own property and those who do not. Many young people are struggling to get a foothold in the housing market. And do you know what this means? It has led to some serious financial stress and instability for the country. Unfortunately, history has shown us that rising house prices can have devastating consequences on the economy. The housing market crash of 2008 is a prime example. Before the Great Recession hit the US, the average home price had risen to over $300,000. This 2008 recession was fueled by reckless lending practices by financial institutions. Banks had given loans to almost anyone who applied, including those who could not afford them, leading to a subprime mortgage crisis. So when housing prices collapsed, banks and other financial institutions were left with massive amounts of bad debt, leading to a global financial crisis that took years to recover from. The same thing could happen in Canada if the surge in housing prices continues unchecked. But it's not just the housing market that is causing Canada's economic decline. Inflation is also a major issue. Prices for everyday goods and services are increasing at an alarming rate, making it harder for many Canadians to make ends meet. This has led to a decrease in consumer spending and a slowdown in economic activity. Inflation has also had a significant impact on the Canadian job market, with the country losing over 113,000 jobs from June to August last year. Their unemployment rate spiked to 5.3% is a cause for concern. The rise in prices of everyday goods and services is also causing layoffs as companies struggle to maintain their profit margins. On top of that, the recent carbon tax implemented by the government has further worsened the situation. The carbon tax has caused the prices of fuel, electricity, and common consumer products to skyrocket, putting further stress on the finances of Canadians. And unfortunately, the worst is yet to come. Finance experts are predicting that Canada's recession will be worse than the United States recession of 2008. In fact, they have predicted that there is a 70% chance of a recession happening in Canada, and it could happen as early as 2023. Chrystia Freeland, who is the Finance Minister of Canada, has also warned of difficult days ahead for the economy. Canadians are left wondering what they can do to weather the storm. So what does this all mean for everyday Canadians? Let's have a look at what is happening in the country at this time of financial stress. First of all, there has been a rise in crime rates. Around the country, police departments are reporting an increase in property crimes such as car theft and vandalism. This year, there has been a significant increase in car thefts across Canada, with some cities seeing a rise of more than 29% in reported incidents. This has led to many Canadians feeling unsafe and worried about the security of their property. Another issue that Canadians are facing is long wait times for medical procedures and services. The recent pandemic put a strain on the healthcare system. And now, with financial troubles looming over the horizon, many hospitals are struggling to keep up with demand. As a result, Canadians are having to wait longer to receive essential medical care. To tackle the problem of inflation, the Government of Canada came up with a solution. If you are living in Canada, you already know that the Bank of Canada has been hiking its key interest rate in an attempt to bring inflation down. The problem with that is although the benchmark interest rate currently sits at 4.5%, Canadians can expect to continue to see this rate increase in the coming months. While raising interest rates may help to cool down inflation, it will also lead to Canadians spending more money on interest repayments. This can discourage spending on goods and services, leading to a reduction in demand and further economic slowdown. In short, wherever we see there's a storm ready to crush the Canadian economy, and every day Canadians are feeling the effects. What are your views related to the Canadian economy? Share your thoughts with me in the comments below. Thank you for watching.
Now, how does that relate to, because Canada is part of the G7 summit. They partners with United States, England, France, Britain, and everything. So their economy is going to be affected. When this BRICS thing go through, they really going to fit. If they don't get welcome in, they're going to be just like France, the United States, and other ones. They're literally keeping these people out. And then, so you know, Canada backs the United States. United States back Ukraine, you know, France and all these other countries, England, so Germany, so and all these other countries that they want to go against Putin. So over this thing with the war. So Putin's one of the top hit leaders of the country that leading the stuff. So when they change that dollar over, not only it's going to hit France, it's going to hit Germany and other places in Europe, Canada, and the United States. You know? So, yeah, United States, we in trouble, man. We are in trouble. And they telling you, I don't think that's happening, and blah, 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 blah. They already made a decision. And then I think they sound Saudi Arabia and other two countries along. You know, I'm like, do you understand? But this is what happened.
Did you know that people shop across Google more than 1 billion times a day? In fact,
this is the reason why France.
Breaking news, my people. France have fallen once more in Africa as military has taken over one of their former colonies, Gabon.
Peuple gabonais et garant de la protection des institutions avons décidé de défendre la paix en mettant fin au régime en place. À cet effet, les élections générales du 26 août 2023 ainsi que les résultats tronqués sont annulés. Les frontières sont fermées jusqu'à nouvel ordre. Toutes les institutions de la République sont dissoutes.
You need to watch this video to the end and hear it all. Help me share this video to everyone.
This is behind the BRICS.
You're welcome back again on this platform where you get to undiluted truth and
so then you know they're gonna
speak with what is happening in Africa
they
as we
friends with
speak.
Russia. Gabon.
Another French colony has fallen, and that is Gabon.
See that Niger, Gabon, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Gabon. They're with Russia. And they're going against the French. Western lost.
Because the kind of democracy or democracy we've been having
Now I'm going to show you what this one man said about the West. What the Uganda president said.
President Museveni is definitely one of Africa's popular leaders, especially now more than ever, because it seems like he says it how he sees it, and it's becoming more and more now that he's getting older and older. And as you know, he's been the president of Uganda for 30 plus years. That's a long time to stay in that position. So, you know, some call him a dictator, some love him to bits, and some people find him very entertaining. But one thing is for sure, no matter who his audience is, he'll say what he wants to say, and usually it gets him in trouble, but nowadays it's getting him more supporters than before. Let me show you a clip of his talking about how foreigners failed in 3 tests.
The foreigners have failed the test. The foreigners, professor from Germany, I'm telling you that the foreigners have failed 2 tests, according to my assessment. Number 1, they have failed my tribal test. Because in my tribe, there is no way you can say that because I have a problem, I don't care about my brother who also have the same problem. No way. In my tribe, it can never happen. Yes, I have a problem, but if my brother has a problem, I will share the ritual I have with him to solve my problem, but also address his. This is my tribal code. And this was tested when the corona was starting. Because here in East Africa, we had the problem of sanitizers. Ugandans drink a certain strong gin from bananas called waragi. It's a strong gin, they normally poison themselves with it. And they like it. But that gin, if you distill it more, it produces a very good sanitizer. So when the crisis started, only Uganda was producing sanitizers in East Africa. So some of my people said we should not allow East Africa to import sanitizer because we need it. I said no. In my tribe, that's not allowed. What you should do, you can say you keep like 40% for yourselves, but let 60% be shared by the East Africans. That was my tribal constitution. I cannot. So the foreigners have failed. 0 marks on my tribal code. But they have also failed on the Christian. You remember, I had a rumor that there were Christians in the world. That's what we hear. We hear that there are Christians in America, there are Christians in Europe, there are Christians. These people have failed on the Christian test. So we are going to look for the vaccine for the short run, but also they have failed on the test of strategy, because we now know that they don't care about us. Thank you very much. Yes, some of us may die, but our children will now know that these are not people to depend on.
I understand why people find him entertaining, because there were a few moments where I laughed out loud, particularly when he said 0 marks. It was pretty funny, and he's right. He's spot on. I believe this clip is a bit older because if you've noticed, the audiences are wearing masks, and as you know, there was a time where we all were forced to wear masks. Now, not a lot of people actually wear masks. It's like that disease disappeared, right? So clearly, this is right after the COVID situation, and he is particularly talking about how the Western world reacted when it comes to the vaccine or sharing the sanitizers, the masks, all the equipments that they had in that moment Africa didn't have. But this was bittersweet, to be honest, because it taught us the same way he said our children now know never to depend on others, which is a beautiful learning, although a lot of people had to lose their lives for us to understand that that is the case. But regardless, it's still a learning. But he made 3 points, actually 3 tests that he believes the West failed. The first one being his tribal test, which is sharing. He said they get 0 for that. And the second one was religion. He said, you guys claim that you're Christians, but you don't follow the values of Christianity. And the third and the biggest point he made, I believe, is the strategy. He said that they failed in strategy because he said, even though many of us will die, our children now know not to trust you. So strategically, you fumbled. Strategically, going forward, our children and the next generation won't trust you and depend on you, which is the greatest lesson that we've learned, I believe. I understand there were many people already that knew that this is the way to go and you should not trust the West or refuse their aid or any kind of military support that they give us. But the majority of the people were not in tune. They didn't understand what's really going on. So this opened a lot of people's eyes, and as I said, it's a bittersweet situation.
Wow, that said a whole lot. And this is what I'm talking about. You know, done are the days of thinking that black people are half human. They're not intelligent to understand. And not understanding what's going on, trying to keep them in the dark, trying to push your agenda, trying to punish them, because they don't follow along. And now and then they trying to recently put a ban on his country, and the World Court don't want to help them out with supplies because he didn't push a certain agenda. And he said, well, we've been going this long anyway, so they'll soon be part of BRICS. So nice going, United States and the World Bank, because they're going to find a way to make things roll. And now that the whole countries, and Saudi Arabia, and other oil countries, and a couple of them other countries get together, along with China, and they thought they was going to push their agenda, but it's falling apart. And we knew this for years, and it's sad that and it's an old thing that they used to do when it came to Christians coming to different parts of the world. And now they seeing you don't follow your own biblical Bible, what you represent the ambassadorship of Christ. That's basically what he's saying. And a lot of people seeing it hand in the hidden agenda. So, hey, I salute them for waking up, man. And it's the same way, like they do with us black people over here. They prey on our weakness in our time, but some of us waking up over here and in other places in the world. Like, you're not gonna keep pushing and bullying us and feel like you got to be over us. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And the West is starting to figure that out. And now it's affecting Canada's economy and their citizens, France's economy and their citizens, Germany, and all these other countries, and soon to be the United States. We're going to be just like that because the leaders we have representing our country, trying to push agenda, bring a brain and won't let colonialism die. Bringing all these other isms. Socialism that is dying. Bringing something that goes against the principle of what they believe. Because if you don't, you're going to sanction them. And so they teamed up. So, we can tire you doing this stuff. You being a bully. They already suffering and having certain things that they need over there. And you want to make it worse because you got something over there. And it'd be a bad deal. And I believe it's going to turn out to be a war because a lot of these Western countries don't take it falling down. And it's going to backfire. Because with Russia and China, it's a wrap. If they get it over there along with other countries backing them up, it's a wrap for the West. You have that fail of a leader, French president, Macron. He just don't get it. You can tell he's arrogant. Y'all just don't get it, man. People are tired. The old things are dying out. We are in the last days, man. And their time is up. And so there's a lot of people whatever happens, what they try to do over there, it's going to backfire on us. And if we try to do something then, it's going to backfire on the West. So whatever sneak attack they try and do, financially, chemically, whatever, it's going to come back on us. That's how sick we got with people in high places. But anyway, salute to all those countries that stood up to France. It's about time. It's good to see that. Thank goodness. Stand up, because they've been living in that condition for a long time. And they're not the only countries. There's other countries in Africa too that need to stood up. And they try to get the western part of Africa, the Ghana and the Nigerians, said no. Don't stand up for them. And what they do, they'll try to do that to Nigeria and Ghana. And they just don't know, man. Africa's sticking hold. What their greatest fear, black folks come together from different tribes. The greatest fear that you try to conquer and divide, is falling. Now they don't know what to do. And they've done that. And for Black America and Canada and everywhere else, that should tell you something. Stand together. Put down your political parties. Because in the end, we visit until they feel like they have to acknowledge us for us to be visible in their eyes. But most of the time we have no name. They think you're less intelligent, and they choose to put you as invisible. And this time, the Most High bring us visible, and they don't know what to do. And every time they turn the heat up on us, the counter cost is going to come against them. So I hope you like this video. Share, like, and subscribe. Yes, salute to all the Nigeria, Gabon, and all them other countries over there. Stand up against the West. Stand up. Stand up. And you see what they did to Haiti. That's why Haiti's going through the stuff that they're going down there through them now in them other countries. They broke Venezuela and all them countries. It's going to come back to bite the United States in the butt and the other Western countries. Just like they did with Cuba. Cuba getting on it, that's it. Alright then. But yeah, let this be a lesson learned to the West. Your time is up. Your time is up by the Most High. Take care.